Hello everyone, this is ACHAIA Akaya, and we are in game number 5 right now of the show match between LiquidTLO and MaDFroG, and LiquidTLO of course playing as the light blue Terran here up at the 12 o'clock position. At the 3 o'clock position we do have the purple Zerg, MaDFroG, former Warcraft 3 pro gamer turned StarCraft 2 pro gamer, and he has absolutely proven that he's picked this game up very quickly. He's holding his own against TLO, which as a lot of us know has been very, very solid. He played very well in the beta, was at the top of the 1v1 diamonds for a long time. He did just a fantastic job playing against some of the world's best players. But anyways, the series right now is tied up 2-2, so both players have 2 wins on the match right now, and they are basically trying to break that tie there. I believe this is a best of 7 series, so a lot of games played so far by these guys, and depending how the next game or two goes here, we could see a lot more. But anyways, this is going to be Lost Temple. This map of course is a 4-player map, and these players spawned in as far across positions as you possibly can. This is actually about the same distance as cross spawns. As you can see by the ground here, this ramp at the front is very close to the ramp at the 9 o'clock position, but since this ramp is facing away from the 3 o'clock position, and the 3 o'clock position likewise is facing away from the 12 o'clock position, there is a very, very long distance to travel by ground here. So we are definitely going to see a little bit more economic game, more likely. But looks like MaDFroG putting down a very early hatchery here, getting that down. Let's check here real quick. He's got 13 harvesters, so getting that down right around 14, going hatchery first before spawning pool. So we'll see if he's able to get that hatchery up and running and defend it from any kind of an early push. As we see, TLO did scout that. He went right by it on his way into MaDFroG's base, so he is going to be 100% aware of that early expansion. And of course, the extra ground to cover between the 2 bases is going to help MaDFroG in defending that very greatly. But since he scouted that so early, it looks like he is going to go for some early pressure here, getting out that early Marine, immediately building it as soon as his barracks is finished so that he can get some pressure on that Expo, because as you know, the spawning pool did just recently go down for MaDFroG, so it's going to be a while before he has some Zerglings out, although as I mentioned, with the immense amount of distance to cover between these 2 bases, he's not going to be able to get over there, and it looks like he's actually just going to go ahead and take this Xel'Naga Watchtower, give him a little bit more vision on the map, and likewise, MaDFroG did have his Xel'Naga Watchtower for a little bit, of course, wanting to make sure that there was no early units coming to harass, and TLO getting out that early factory, as we've seen him do on this map so many times, and actually a lot of the maps, especially where he's got that small choke that he can wall off so easily, using that factory as part of his wall at the front, which of course, if you don't have the supply depot in there, makes a very narrow choke, as you can see there, but you can complete that wall off with 1 supply depot very easily, and of course it's much less susceptible to a Baneling bust because it's more difficult to take down these large factory and barracks buildings. Although since we're seeing a very economic build from MaDFroG so far, I don't expect to see a Baneling bust, at least not anytime soon. A few Zerglings now making it out on the map, and it looks like they're going to try to go take the Xel'Naga Watchtowers to give him as much visibility in the middle of the map as possible so that he can respond to any kind of pressure attacks or anything like that. And of course he's going to have some vision on the units as they move out. But the factory now just putting out 1 Hellion here, and it looks like he is once again going to push out early with a few Marines and 1 Hellion and taking down the Zerglings that are coming up and trying to do a little bit of scouting on the front of his base. So MaDFroG does know that TLO right now is moving out with his Marines, although he has not yet seen the Hellion coming, and I don't know if he's even scouted this this factory yet, so he may not, he's not even aware that these Hellions are on the way yet, although they just got to the front of his base. So going to be trying to defend against this, and he's actually just trying to hold off long enough to get this spine crawler up and running. If he can get that, he will be in pretty good shape here to defend this expansion, and definitely in good shape now, especially with the amount of Zerglings that are coming into play right now, along with the help of the Queens. So TLO going to have to back off once again and play a little bit of catch up here, trying to get his expansion up and running sometime soon, I would imagine, because he cannot play against a 2-basing Zerg off of 1 base for very long before that economic advantage really starts to kick in. But it looks like TLO for some reason floating a barracks over here. I'm not sure why this barracks is up in the air. other than maybe he just wants to spot this Overlord, although that Overlord's not going to have a hard time getting away at all, it doesn't seem like. And yeah, that Overlord's just going to float over that ledge a little bit longer, and the barracks, of course, still up in the air, not really doing anything, and here goes the command center. So he is going to try to get his own expansion up and running, and it looks like he's actually going to try to do a Marine drop. One medevac holding about 5 Marines, it looks like, going to try to get in the back of MaDFroG's base, and MaDFroG moving out at the same time with a decent amount of speedlings here, going to possibly try to do some harassment, of course leaving one Zergling over at the expansion real quick to make sure that he has not yet fast expanded. And now getting up in there, he's going to see that there is only one Zergling, one Hellion there trying to defend against those Zerglings, and a bunch of Marines going to get dropped off here in the base, and here come the Zerglings from MaDFroG going to try to defend against this, and he is going to be forced immediately to pick up all of those Marines, and he's going to go to the high ground, which of course there are Overlords nearby, so he can get vision on the high ground, but the only things that can hit those units right now are the Queens, because the Queens have a little bit of a range attack, despite the fact that it's considered melee, because when they attack ground units, they basically poke at them with those big tentacle arm things, whatever you want to call them, but they can reach up cliffs if you do have vision up there, so that's definitely something that's worthwhile if you've only got a couple units harassing. However, one Queen cannot take on these 5 Marines by itself, and there are just a lot of Marines continuing to come out here for MaDFroG, and here comes a Thor, so we are going to see a little bit of Thor ship harassment along with these Marines trying to take this cliff here and do some immediate harassment. And there you go, you can see how much of a range that Thor has, just going to be able to pick off that hatchery from here, and just so much damage from the Thor with those dual massive siege cannons on its arms. And you can just see right now how much damage it does there. 2 attacks at 30 damage per attack is just absolutely brutal. But here comes the Marines on the low ground trying to hold this off, and it looks like that Queen is going to try to defend it by himself, but just not enough there to defend against that, and the Zerglings apparently not able to get into the base of TLO. He does have some Marines and Hellions blocking this, and yet another Thor here. So TLO is very quickly getting back into this game, managing to take down the expansion of MaDFroG without losing the command center of his own, and also without letting MaDFroG get into his base to do any significant damage. So very good play here by TLO, although here comes the Mutalisks. There are Thors on the map right now, but the Thors are very, very slow, so if MaDFroG is good about moving his Mutalisks around and constantly harassing and keeping these Thors on their feet and out of position, then he may be able to do some damage here. And the expansion for TLO just now getting up and running, sending a mule down there, and as we can see, there are a handful of Mutalisks here coming in, trying to harass. Oh, and this Thor ship almost got taken down, but instead that Thor is going to get a couple shots off. As you can see, a decent spread between the Mutalisks, only one of them